Hey everybody, my name is Merrill Kazanjian, and my YouTube channel is kazanjianm, and it's a drawing channel. It teaches people how to draw. But tonight, I'm going to contribute my 9/11 story. I'm a native New Yorker and a witness to September 11th, and tonight I'm going to tell you my story about that. I was 22 at the time when the towers came down, and I was actually in the World Trade Center on September 9th, 2001, the night of. So we're talking 36 hours before everything happened. And supposedly that was the time when they were scouting the building. The members of Al Qaeda were scouting the building. I don't know. I read that somewhere. I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember seeing that in a newspaper that it was that night, and is fresh in my memory, totally fresh in my memory. I went on a date with a girl that night, and it was we went to the top, not the windows on the World Restaurant, but we just went to the top, the observation deck, and I remember sitting with her, like in between the two towers. There was the Gold Globe, and literally 36 hours later, everything was, it's like the world ended, for New Yorkers, certainly. I knew one person that passed away on that day. But I remember, the day of 9/11, I was in graduate school, and it was also the first week that I started my teaching career. I taught part-time, and I went to grad school 2 days a week. And I was at Queens College. It was my first week, again, as a teacher, and my first week in graduate school at Queens College. And, I'm somebody who forgets a lot of things. I'll leave, like, my ID, and so forth. But I called home for something, and, I was still living with my parents at the time. And my mom picked up the phone, and she's like, "Did you hear what happened?" And my dad worked downtown at the time, like right by the Twin Towers, a few buildings away. And she didn't know that it was a terrorist attack. She's like, "A plane hit the World Trade Center," and this was before the second plane hit, of course. But she's like, "Your father's okay, but he's trying to come home. Lower Manhattan is a mess." And I walked back into my class knowing this, but I was numb from this. I couldn't concentrate. I didn't think to tell the teacher, and I kept thinking about this. I didn't think to tell the teacher, and like about 40 minutes later, somebody comes in and said, "2 planes have hit the World Trade Center, and there's a terrorist attack," and tells the teacher. And I remember the teacher saying, "Oh my God, I work in downtown Manhattan." She worked in the apartments across. Why I couldn't break that news to her, I was in shock. I went through that class in shock. But I remember later in the day, my dad he caught literally the last train out of Manhattan. And I remember, picking him up at the train station, and I couldn't parallel park my car. Now, you have to understand this about New Yorkers. We could fit a car, like, in the smallest of spaces. But that day, oh my God, nobody was driving. I had so much space to park it. I couldn't get it close to the curb. I just was so numb. I remember driving driving home from Queens College. This is before I picked up my dad. The fire trucks, like, racing, and those are always fresh in my mind, racing, and there was a huge traffic jam going on the Long Island Expressway to Manhattan. But this was before the towers came down, and I always wondered if those firefighters made it. I don't know. It's a day that made a huge, immense impression on me. I don't know. It brought in a new era. It definitely brought in a new era to the world. The late 90s were all about Wall Street and making money, and there was like a very positive outlook. and it kind of brought in this very gloomy era, but it also forced us to talk about some difficult issues in society. I'm not going to get into that in this video. It was a terrible day. Even if it did bring forth certain conversations which in the future might benefit the world. It's sad that almost 3,000 people lost their lives that day, and let's face it, thousands and thousands more have died since. I think that it's really important that we all make choices and choose to contribute positively to the world. There are certain people that can take away from the world. You want to be that person that, that adds to it. I think that's really important. Gandhi always preached that. Dr. King always preached that. It's a day that my childhood kind of stopped and my adult life kind of started. That was my 9/11 story. Like they said, never forget 9/11. I certainly never will. I saw from the Queens College quad, I saw the towers burning, and it's forever in my mind. It's just a sight that I hope I never have to see again at any other building.